another episode of Tuesday Tales. And today we shall be reading the story of Horatius and what he did at the bridge. The story of Horatius is one of the most glorious chapters in the history of Rome. It has been retold and rewritten many times, most stirringly by the English poet and historian Thomas Macaulay in his Lays of Ancient Rome. It happened this way. Rome was in great danger. There had been there have been 6 kings after Romulus. Lucius Tarquinius, known as Tarquin, the tyrant, was the last and the worst. He took away freemen's liberty, put honest senators to death, dismissed loyal generals, and surrounded himself with a bodyguard of cutthroats. His crimes grew so outrageous that the people finally deposed and banished him. They resolved to have no more kings, so that no one man would ever have absolute power. They put the government in the hands of 2 consuls. But Tarquin had no intention of remaining in exile. He tried various ways to get back his throne, but was always defeated. Finally, he decided to go to the Etruscans for help, together with his son Sextus, whom the Romans hated as much as they did his father. He went to Clusium, the chief city of Etruria, and raided with the king Lars Porsena. There were many reasons we should join forces against Rome, said Tarquin. For one thing, I am an Etruscan by descent. For another thing, I am, or was, a brother monarch. And then it would be a terrible thing for all monarchs if the thronement became popular. Imagine that would happen. Imagine what would happen to people that took it in their heads and forced them to their hands to rebel against the rulers and adopt the new fashion of toppling kings from their thrones. I know your own people are happy and troubled, but in added slightly, there are always troublemakers, and it is possible that if their eyes turn to Rome, they might get ideas about having a republic instead of a monarchy. I don't understand you, said Lars Porsena. There's something in what you say. Nevertheless, there is nothing to be gained by hurrying into the conflict, especially when unprepared. Let us try persuasion before we resort to force. Lars Porsena had no real quarrel with Rome. At the same time, he saw an opportunity of enlarging his kingdom. So he sent ambassadors to Rome. At first, they were received courteously, but when they insisted that Tarquin should be restored to the throne, they were scornfully refused. Tell your monarch, replied the consuls, that once and for all we are through with kings. The only rulers here are the people, and they rule themselves. When the answer was brought to Clusium, Lars Porsena summoned Tarquin. I have made up my mind. I get declared. By the 9 gods, I swear that your house shall suffer no more wrong. Together we will make war on Rome. and you shall have your throne again. He sent messengers. He sent messengers to collect troops not only from the 12 large cities of Troya, but from the smallest villages. They also brought back forces from Laos and Pasenna's allies, hordes of farmers and workmen, as well as soldiers. Young men and men no larger, no longer young, poured to Colosseum, where they were outfitted, armed, and trained. Soon there was an army of 90,000 fighting men. The outer spearthrow was swordsmen engineers, experts of deadly stone holding like about and horsemen and charioteers. Then it was time to strike. The signal was given. The war horn sounded, and Rome, and the march on Rome began. The roads were clogged with men and women fleeing from the advancing troops. Country folk driving in the cattle and carrying the belongings from the farms. For miles around the city, families pressed on. Mothers of children, old men holding on quarters, sick people born in litters. Shepherds with their sheep, flocks of goats, hard-pressed mules, wagons piled with sacks of corn, all crowding toward Rome and the hope of refuge. The villages were looted, sacked, and burned as Pasenna's army drew nearer and nearer. When the news reached Rome, fear filled the streets. Her small army could never hope to oppose Pasenna's massive onslaught. Rome's best defense was the Tiber, that could be crossed by only one wooden bridge. Fear increased when the main fort on the Janiculum Hill was captured after violent resistance. Now there was nothing left between the army and the heart of Rome but that one narrow bridge. When the invaders crossed this, Rome would fall. Then the vengeful Tarquin would do what he pleased. The people beseeched the councils, and the councils looked desperately to the bridge. Horatius was the guardian of the bridge at the entrance to the city. He saw a vast army assembled on the opposite bank of the river, and he saw the frightened Romans behind him. There was little time with argument. He spoke directly to the consuls. In the words of Macaulay, then out spoke brave Horatius, the captain of the gate. To every man upon this earth, death cometh sooner or late. Sooner or late, my bad. And how can a man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Give me 2 men, said Horatius, and we will hold the bridge a while. It may only be for a short time, but it may be long enough for the bridge to be destroyed. While the 3 of us hold off the attackers, you must break down the bridge. Use axes and crowbars, hatchets, hammers, and break it down any way you can. But hurry, it is our only hope. Then, turning to the little group of soldiers, he said, "Who will stand with me? Who will risk his life for Rome?" "I will," cried Latius. "I will stand at your right side." "And I," cried Herminius. "I will stand by your left." The Romans grabbed axes and other the tools as Horatius and his companions ran forward to the end of the bridge. Seeing the 3 men opposed to an army of many thousands, a loud laugh went up from Lars Obscena's men. The 3 companions stood calm and silent. Then, after a pause, Horatius spoke. "Why do you hesitate?" He taunted Tarquin and the Etruscans. "Are you afraid of 3 men willing to lose their lives over for the sake of liberty? Come on then, slaves who are here bidding to your masters to rob us of our freedom that you do not dare to want for yourselves. Come on." For a while, the enemy held off. Then, like ashamed and angry with themselves because of their shame, they gave a great shout and thrust forward. 3 of their chiefs and warriors spurred their horses toward the narrow bridgehead and flung their spears at the 3 guarding the bridge. But Artius struck down the first, Homenius slew the second, and Horatius disposed of the third. 3 more Etruscans, a western group at Horatius. But he did not flinch. He pierced the arm of one, and Lautius and Homenius disarmed and killed the other 2. Now the invaders were troubled. The vast army seemed to shrink and hesitate. Alistair, coming up. Alistair to the front. Alistair. The Etrurians champion strode through the ranks like a giant of a man. He carried a bronze shield that clanged on his shoulders, and brandished a bronze sword that no one else could wield. He glanced contemptuously at the flinching Etruscans. "You let yourself be stopped by the rabble of Romans?" he said scornfully. "Look, the she-wolf stiletto stands at bay. It is time for the final kill. Follow me while I clear the way." Rolling his great flashing sword with both hands, he rushed toward Horatius. With his own sword, Horatius deflected the blow. It missed his head, but it gashed his thigh, and at the sight of his blood, the Etruscans raised a savage shout. Horatius wheeled. He leaned against Amenius for a moment's breath, then sprang at Astor's head. Astor was unprepared for the cat-like attack and was thrown off balance. Before Astor could swing his shield into place, Horatius delivered a so fierce a sword thrust that the blade crashed through Astor's helmet, smashed his skull, and stood out behind his head as Astor fell. Horatius placed his foot on the mightiest warrior of the Etruscans and mocked the army. This is a kind and the welcome Rome extends to its uninvited guests. Is there anyone else ready to taste our Roman cheer? So sullenly the Etruscans drew back, while Horatius strained to hear the sound of axes finishing their work. When what he heard delighted them. The Romans had succeeded in breaking down most of the bridge. It hung tottering above the swollen river. "Come back," they shouted. "The supposed to fallen. Come back." "Yes, go back," said Horatius to his comrades. "Our work is done." Lautius and Homenius darted towards safety. Just as they reached the shore where the Romans were standing, the planks cracked, and timber split. It was a thundering sound. The torn beams plunged into the river, that boiled and roared and whipped them down the stream. Horatius was now alone on the enemy bank. Retreat was cut off, and there was no way for him to escape. Before the Etruscans could seize and kill him, Lars Obscena spoke. "You are a brave man, Horatius," he said. "You brave men are not easy to come by these days. I would like to spare your life. You join my army and be a conqueror. Would you rather be a lone man who is about to die?" Then Horatius spoke. He spoke not to Lars of Obscena, but to the river. "O Father the Timber," said Horatius, "holy river, save me. Take and sacrifice his soldier, the soldier on his arms." And he leaped in as he struck the water. The infuriated Etruscans hauled spear after spear at him. None hit him. In spite of his heavy armor, Horatius swam. Friends and foes sailed in amazement as the rolling current carried him. They saw him sink and rise and sink again. Once more he rose. "Cross him," he cried for Texas. "Will not this villain drown? But for this day, your closest of day, you should have sacked the town. Heaven help him," cried Lars Obscena, "and bring him safe to the shore, with such a gallant feat of arms as never seen before." Lars Obscena's prayer was answered by the Tiber, if not by heaven. One great swirl of the current helped Horatius, then brought him over to the Roman side, landing him on the bank. The Romans broke into shouts of joy, bursts of clapping, laughing, weeping, and cheering. The consul tried to say something, but they could not be heard. The exultant crowd carried Horatius off on their shoulders. Countless rewards were offered to him. Horatius declined them all. All he asks is that a man requires to live on. He said, "Let me have only as much land as can be plowed with a yoke of oxen in one day." They gave him the land, and they gave him more. They gave him a cherished spot on the marketplace. They erected a statue in his honor. It was a heroic image of the man who kept a whole army at bay and thought it no more than his simple duty. It stood there for hundreds of years. His story, inscribed on it in gold, has never been forgotten. With weeping and with laughter, still is his story told. How well Horatius kept the bridge in the brave days of old. Well, that's today's story. And yeah, so I shall see y'all in the next one. Bye.